Coco Gauff charges to the semifinals. White heavy checkmark stunning straight sets victory over Siegemund. The early morning air in Wuhan was thick with tension and humidity. The stadium lights gleamed against a silvery mist, painting a surreal glow across the hardcourt. As Coco Gauff walked to the tunnel leading to center court, her heartbeat synced with the rhythm of her footsteps. Steady, powerful, certain. She wasn't just walking toward another match. She was walking toward her moment. At 21, Coco had already accomplished what most players dream of: Grand Slam glory, WTA titles, a global fan base that roared her name across continents. But this week in Wuhan felt different. This wasn't about legacy or fame. It was about evolution. Facing her across the net stood Laura Siegemund, the seasoned German veteran, with fierce mind and unrelenting strategy. She wasn't here to make friends. She was here to disrupt. But Coco was ready. She adjusted her headband, looked skyward for a brief second, and whispered something only she could hear. Then she stepped onto the baseline, and the fire began. The opening storm. From the very first serve, the energy was electric. Gauff unleashed a 115 miles per hour rocket down the tee line, the ball carving to the humid air like a bullet. Siegemund barely managed to react. Ace! The crowd erupted, cheers echoing from every corner. But Coco didn't smile. Her face was a mask of focus. She knew Siegemund's game, crafty, unpredictable, full of spins and drop shots meant to break rhythm. Siegemund started clawing back with slices that kissed the net and floated just over, forcing Coco to bend low and move fast. Yet Gauff, more patient and composed than ever, refused to get flustered. She had learned. Every rally felt like a conversation, one where Siegemund whispered deceit, and Coco replied with thunder. At 3-0, Coco had already broken serve twice. Her footwork was poetry in motion, her forehand a flame that lit up the court. "Gauff is on fire," shouted the commentator. Indeed, she was. The battle of minds. But Laura Siegemund was nothing if not a fighter. The 36-year-old veteran began using her experience, pulling Coco into long, grinding rallies, mixing pace, and using time delays to disrupt rhythm, something that had frustrated Coco in their earlier encounters. In one point, Siegemund's moonball barely touched the line, sending Coco sprinting backward. She retrieved it with a running forehand, so fierce it curved around the net post and landed in the corner. The crowd gasped. Siegemund smirked, acknowledging brilliance when she saw it. This wasn't just tennis. It was art. Coco's every movement was filled with intention. She didn't overhit. She constructed. She didn't chase glory. She built dominance. At 5-0, she paused, breathing deeply. She looked across the court at Siegemund and realized something profound. She wasn't the kid anymore. She was a storm. Moments later, a backhand passing shot sealed the first set. 6-0. The stadium shook. The evolution of a champion. During the changeover, Coco sat quietly, towel over her shoulders, her eyes focused on nothing and everything at once. Her coach whispered from the box, "Stay present. Stay patient." She nodded once, but in her heart, she was already mapping out her next target. Not just this match, but the path beyond. She wanted the title. She wanted the crown. She wanted to prove that her U.S. Open triumph was no fluke. It was the beginning of something greater. Across the net, Siegemund looked weary. She had tried her mind games, her defensive lobs, her off-pace volleys. But Coco's athleticism and composure were simply too much. Still, Laura wasn't going down quietly. The second set began with renewed energy. Siegemund broke early, gritting her teeth with each point. She yelled after every winner, trying to summon chaos. But Coco's expression didn't change. At 0-2 down, she adjusted her strings, took a deep breath, and started to climb back. One hold, one break, one roar. At 3-3, she pumped her fist, eyes blazing with conviction. "Come on!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the Wuhan night. The fire was fully awake now. The turning point. The seventh game was a masterpiece of athletic grit. Siegemund led 40-15, looking to hold serve. But Coco's defense was supernatural. She retrieved a drop shot with a full sprint, then hit a running forehand winner down the line that painted the tape. 40-30. The crowd gasped. Next point, an 18-shot rally of breathtaking tension. Siegemund slice, Gauff's counter, a lob, a smash, another retrieval. Finally, Coco ripped a backhand winner that drew applause from even her opponent. Deuce. Then advantage Gauff. Then break. The crowd roared as Coco clenched her fist and shouted into the night. From that point, the match was hers. The final strike. At 5-3, Coco stepped up to serve for the match. The air in the arena grew thick with anticipation. First serve, unreturnable. 15-0, second serve, ace. 30-0. Third point, a rally of finesse, ending with forehand that clipped the line. 40-0. Triple match point. She bounced the ball 3 times. Then, with the calm of a veteran and the fire of a warrior, she unleashed one last serve wide. Siegemund's return floated long. Game. Set. Match. Gauff. 6-0, 6-3. Coco dropped her racket and raised her arms in triumph as the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Her smile, radiant, unguarded, lit up the court like sunrise. She had done it. She had charged into the semifinals in pure, commanding fashion. The afterglow, as the crowd chanted, "Sio-Sio, Sio-Sio," she waved, her heart full. But more than victory, what filled her chest with gratitude. She remembered the tough losses, the doubts, the criticism about her serve, her patience, her age. Every tear she'd shed had watered the roots of her strength. When she faced reporters later that night, she was calm, smiling. "I just focus on playing my game," she said. "Laura's tough," she makes you think, "but I've learned to stay centered. The biggest battle is always with yourself." Someone asked her about the next match. She smiled again. "One step at a time," she replied. "But I'm ready. I'm learning to enjoy the fight." Echoes across the world. The headlines spread like wildfire. The fire within. On the morning of the semifinal, Coco woke early. She jogged through the quiet Wuhan streets, the sun barely rising. She thought about everything, the challenges, the critics, the sacrifices. And then she smiled, because despite all of it, she loved this. The grind, the focus, the heat, the chaos and the calm. She whispered to herself, "I'm built for this." As she looked ahead to the next match, one thing was certain. Coco Gauff wasn't just charging to the tournament. She was charging through life, with fire, faith, and fearless resolve. Epilogue, the beginning of forever. Coco Gauff's victory over Laura Siegemund wasn't just another scoreline. It was a chapter in a story that's still being written. The story of a young woman who turned potential into power, expectation into excellence, and pressure into purpose. As she left the court that night, signing autographs and waving to fans, a young girl in the stands shouted, "Coco, you're my hero." Coco turned, smiled, and said, "Don't be like me. Be you. Just never stop believing." And with that, she disappeared into the tunnel, ready for whatever came next. Because champions don't stop when they win. They stop when the world knows their name. And the world, after Wuhan, knew hers. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.